Welcome to I Drink Your Podcast, where we drink and talk about movies from 2007.
Imagine my little girl, regular.
Guys, did you see me dance?
No, you waste energy and time.
I turned penis into gold.
Are you okay?
I want to see you naked.
Surprise, dude, you got herpes.
If I did you a ventriloquist.
You're really well dressed for a shadow puppeteer.
What is he going to culturally appropriate this time?
My man.
I drink your podcast. I drink it up.
Welcome to I Drink Your Podcast and our first bonus episode of 2021. Thank you for joining us. We are here recording on New Year's Day in the afternoon, like real troopers, because even staying up late is not going to keep us from doing this podcast. Special shout out to Shocked and Applaud for providing us with this movie. This was not on our radar for a reason, which we'll talk about. And this movie is called Frank, and it's about a dog. And because Matt's dog's name is Frank, we're like, well, we have to do it. And now we are living with that decision.
That's accurate.
Very cute dog.
Yeah, it was a very cute dog. But today with me are Emily.
Hello.
Matt.
Hey, everybody.
And Wesley.
Hi, I like this movie.
So we are the day after New Year's Eve. Is anyone still drinking?
No, absolutely not.
I didn't really drink last night because I was just by myself. So yeah, I thought I'd have a drink. And in honor of this movie, where they reference going back to the big city over and over again without referencing what city that was, I decided to just go with a Manhattan.
Ooh.
Nice.
Even though it wasn't New York.
I know. I found out afterwards, but I was like, hey, big city. Big city drinks, eh?
I'm feeling a little hungover, so I needed some hair of the dog, and I felt that fit very well with the movie. So I got a vodka cranberry in front of me.
Nice. Is that what you were drinking last night? I had some Skinny Girl margarita last night, and I did not make it to midnight.
I also didn't make it to midnight, but I was also not trying very hard.
Yeah.
I made it to midnight and well beyond because I was having Mountain Dew vodkas.
Oh my God.
That caffeine really got to me. So, and it got to my stomach as well.
Good choices.
I'm having issues.
Here's to next
2021.
year making better decisions.
What have y'all been watching recently?
I've been watching Gossip Girl.
Ooh, XOXO. Wow.
Tell us all about it.
Oh my goodness, you guys. I haven't watched Gossip Girl in so long, but it's the one thing that Corbin and I both just weirdly love.
Mhm.
And it's one of the things that we can rewatch random episodes all the time because I don't know, something about the drama of this stupid teenage elite is just so silly and dumb. So because Gossip Girl went off Netflix yesterday, we were watching it on Netflix to ring in the new year with my little sister who came over. And so we all got drunk. We ate lots of dumplings and lots of food, and we watched Gossip Girl, and it was spectacular.
So, Emily, I have two questions for you. So is it better now rewatching it with the perspective of, spoiler alert, Dan being...
Oh, absolutely.
Whoa. I don't know what's going on.
Whoa.
Absolutely. But also not at all.
Right.
So wait, Dan is A? Am I thinking of the right show?
No, you're not.
Oh.
Are you talking about the show
You're
A?
the Pretty Little Liars.
Oh, no, that is Pretty Little Liars. Okay.
Yeah. And then my second question is, have you seen Bridgerton yet? Because it's basically Gossip Girl set in like those old time Gossip Girl and
Old time Gossip Girl.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to think of like in court, there's princes and dukes, and it's...
Are you talking about like a Jane Austen version of Gossip Girl? Is that what you're kind of talking about?
It's actually the same writer that did Grey's Anatomy. It's really fun to say while your wife is watching, "You're a Bridgerton, Harry." And it doesn't get old, so
at all.
Check it out.
I'm probably going to pass on that. I still have to watch the new Watchmen. I still have 2 episodes left of Raised by Wolves. I have Don't judge me, Wesley. I've been playing God of War, the newer one from 2 years ago, and I'm obsessed. So I'm probably good. But I'm sure there's other things that people have been watching that aren't just ridiculously melodramatic.
Well, I've been watching Bridgerton in passing. It actually looks pretty good. I've heard a lot of good things from people that like those kinds of shows. And then I've been rewatching Community, which is so fucking good.
I think I've decided that's what I'm going to go to. So now that The Office is off Netflix, I think that's going to be my new go-to. Like, just throw on bullshit TV show.
It's so good. I don't like all their skewering other television show span of stuff where they started doing like Law and Order, and then they started doing all those like Abed versions of shows. Yeah, there's like a full season where they do like a Law and Order version, they do like a cartoon version, they have like
I love those episodes. Shut up, Matt.
You mean the season that's widely considered to be their best season?
Yeah, not a
what
fan
do you
of
like
those.
about the show then?
I like season. The Dean is my favorite part of the show. Yeah, his costumes, and then when they montage him coming in and all the different costumes, like I fucking died. But yeah, that show is so good, and I don't know. It's been a lot of fun to rewatch it. So,
Wesley, you got anything?
I don't know why. The last couple of days, I've been watching the old British, like early versions of Kitchen Nightmares, just as kind of something to throw on. So that's been fun. But the new season of The Expanse just came out, and I started watching that. Yeah, very excited about that. But honestly, I want to talk more, and we don't actually have to talk about it very much, but I've been playing more video games, and I have fun and also restarted playing the Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, yay.
Oh my God, that's fun. And also, I got this game Hades, which I think won a lot of like Game of the Year awards.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's so good. It is so good.
Yes.
So
Game of the
that's
Year
the next
this
one
year?
I want to play.
Yeah.
I only play Fortnite, so I'll have to check those out.
I know. I've watched you ask children how old they are.
Yeah, when they're gonna lie and say they're 20, it's like, shut the fuck up. like you don't have to lie to us, dude. We're just trying to kill people. All right.
All right, Ben, what about you?
Well, I mean, I spent my New Year's Eve passing around the controller playing Fall Guys for a bit, and then with a group of people playing Jackbox party games, Quiplash, Trivia Murder Party, that type of stuff. But before we did that last night, we watched Greenland, because one of the traditions that I have with some of my friends is that on New Year's Eve, we watch a disaster movie every year. And this year was Greenland, the new Gerard Butler movie. Sadly, it was not disastery enough for me. Like it tried to actually tell a story, which hurt it, in my opinion, because I just wanted to see shit blow up.
Yeah.
And it was kind of light on that or the ridiculousness.
So it was a better movie than you wanted it to be.
It was a good movie, and I did not want to watch a good movie. So it was very disappointing.
Should have watched Frank last night.
A true disaster movie.
Speaking of Frank was directed by Robin Bradford, who you will not have heard of because they've done nothing.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's also stars John Grease, who you would know as Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Cynthia Watros, who is Libby from Lost.
Yeah, I had to look that one up because that bugged me for a while.
Oh, I recognized her face right away from the shocked face when she took the bullet.
Yeah, spoilers.
Yep. And then Britt Robertson, who is the teenage daughter in this. She was also the middle child in Dan in Real Life. So another 2007 movie.
And I recognized her right away when she was whining. I was like, wait, that's her.
I've seen that before.
It might be the only character she can play.
She's still young.
But the main attraction of this movie is Frank himself. This is a dog movie. And I know growing up, I used to watch a lot of dog movies. How about you guys? Do you have any dog movie memories?
You know, I think I got to go with the classic Air Bud. Mm-hmm. You know, that classic line as well is like, there's no rule where a dog can't play basketball. Like, that's just in the arsenal of just go to.
Yeah, I brought it up last week.
Wesley, how about you?
I mean, I think the best dog movie of all time is obviously Marley and Me. Just a real pick me up.
What?
Everybody
I refuse
leaves happy.
to watch it.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
To watch it.
I'm just kidding. My favorite movie, not going to make it any better, but I used to watch Milo and Otis a lot when I was growing up. That's a hard one to find out the truth behind. But growing up, don't,
oh my God.
Don't, Emily,
Poor
don't,
Emily.
I'm sorry. Just
don't
ignore that I
Google
said
it.
anything. But I used to watch that all the time growing up. Because wasn't it Dudley Moore?
Yeah, Dudley Moore does the voices of the animals. Yep.
So good.
Milo and Otis is one of the ones that I grew up watching. Another one is Beethoven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which this movie actually reminded me a lot of. This had a very Beethoven feel to it, except not fun. And then other ones like Homeward Bound. Do you guys remember Homeward Bound?
Yeah, Michael J. Fox.
The Michael J. Fox as the dog that gets poked by the porcupine.
Oh, yeah, I almost said that one too.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Emily?
I did not grow up with a lot of dog movies. I haven't seen any of those. Although I remember seeing lots of commercials for them on TV when I was only allowed to watch like a 2-hour segment on Saturdays before I had to go to swim meets of cartoons. But I did watch All Dogs Go to Heaven all the time on VHS at my great-grandmother's house because she had 2 movies, Fern Gully and All Dogs Go to Heaven. Both great movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sit there with my sisters and we would watch All Dogs Go to Heaven. And I didn't realize how kind of scary it is for a 5-year-old. But
Death is terrifying.
But it was fantastic. And I still like it, I guess. But, you know, why watch dog movies when I can have the real thing? So, meh.
Yeah, I do not like to be made to cry from a dog movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like
that
leaves out
lot?
half of them. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be the new trend in dog movies is that they have to die at the end in order to really get people crying in the theater.
Yeah, that's why I tend to avoid most dog movies now, like what is it, a Dog's Purpose or something like that.
Is that the Harrison Ford one where he's a dog?
Randy Quaid?
No, I think A Dog's Purpose is Harrison Ford. Or is that The Art of Racing in the Rain? That was another one that came out recently.
I don't know. I haven't seen like a new dog movie that's come out since 2010. I have zero interest in having those heartstrings pulled.
Do you prefer your dog movies to have the dogs talk?
How many dog movies are there that actually have dogs talk? I mean, Homeward Bound.
Like half.
Yeah, it's probably pretty close to half. Yeah.
I guess Marmaduke, Scooby-Doo.
All animated ones.
Yeah, all the new Air Bud sequels with the little dogs, the Snow Buddies and the Santa Buddies.
What was the superhero one? That's the only actual Air Bud movie I've ever seen. But they're all
Underdog.
No, it's Air Buddies, like the puppy dogs, but they all have different superheroes or superpowers.
Oh shit! There was a cats versus dogs something or other, wasn't there?
Yes, there was.
And they like battle it out, and the cats are evil, and they all talk, and
they were all
real.
super spies.
Super buddies. I don't know why we didn't think of that.
No, I really like the animated 2 that I've seen over and over again. Also, Oliver and Company, and All Dogs Go to Heaven, and I enjoy the animals talking to me. Oh, I can't believe I didn't think of this. Isle of Dogs by Wes Anderson. I love that movie. And the dogs talk and they're wonderful. So I guess I like it when dogs talk at me, but only if they're animated. So
was anybody else disappointed that after the little boy set up the fact that Frank talks to him, that he didn't talk then?
Yeah.
He only says ciao. Spoilers.
Well, we're getting into the movie now, so we can go ahead and start throwing out some things. But here's a quick synopsis of this movie because heavy with plot, this one, let me tell you. A young urban family spends summers on an idyllic island, which I didn't even realize they were on an island. Did you guys get that?
Yeah, the dad takes a ferry at the very beginning, but
they say it's an island multiple times.
Do they?
They didn't name it, yeah.
When an abandoned, mangy mutt wanders onto the property, the dad alerts animal control, but the children beg to keep the dog. A compromise is reached. The kids can nurse Frank back to health, but must put him up for adoption when summer is over. As he regains his strength, Frank risks his life to bring the family together in ways no one imagined.
I'm sorry.
I'm so glad you read that.
Did I miss something?
That's the synopsis on IMDb that I read too. And I was going to bring it up because, what do you mean risks his life?
Well, I mean, he clearly leaps out of that moving car at the end and runs
in ways
to them.
That you might not expect. Okay, A, that's one. And I don't think he was like risking your life generally means like you're trying to save something or knowing that you're putting yourself in danger. He just got hit by a car. He got hit by Ferris Bueller and Cameron, who stole their dad's car.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought of. No, nothing in this movie that happened was beyond what I imagined would happen. Like that's the part that I have problems with, is like, no, this pretty much happened exactly what I expected to happen.
I also dislike that in the synopsis, they leave out the part where the first half hour of the movie, Frank is supposed to be a monster.
A demon dog animal thing that's eating everything and could attack people.
That the whole island is on lockdown at night because, the creature's been sighted 3 times this week and it's only Tuesday.
Even during the day, they said they're bringing small children and animals inside.
Yes. But like that what I just said was a radio announcement, which was one of my absolute favorite parts of this movie. Those radio announcements were pure fucking gold.
I honestly don't remember the radio announcements.
Well, that was one of them that just got me thinking, all they're saying is that this thing has been spotted 3 times. Why are they afraid of just a thing? And then I'm sure there are some other in my very long list of notes that I haven't had time to go through because I just watched this movie. But my absolute favorite was at the very end of the movie. So slight spoiler, but also who cares?
Yeah, 100%.
They have a song playing and the DJ cuts in and says, and now let's get back to the blues band with their song, Buy a Dog.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
This movie starts with almost like a horror movie scene, which very much made me not fully understand what I was about to be watching, because like these 3 kids who live on the island were like on walkie-talkies wandering in the dark looking for this. Were they looking for it, or did they just encounter it?
They were trying to get a photo so they could get famous at school. And boy, did this cold open not work at all for me, because it goes into credits after that where it's like, like, hey, we're chugging along. And it's like the beginning of this movie feels like an Airbnb video for a cabin where you're just like, this is awesome. Like, oh my God, I would totally stay there. And like, wow, it's so well kept. Of course, this place has like 5 stars, but like, that cold open was just so jarring and out of place.
See, for me, it was the happy credits and cabin being Airbnb stuff that threw me off. Because, like, I was in when it was, like, spooky, scary. I actually liked that about the movie. I'm like, oh, I have no idea where this is going. Are they going to get the dog and then try to convince everyone that he's friendly and try to, maybe he was a mutt and was destroying things and they have to train him? I was like, okay, maybe I can see this happening. But then suddenly the music and tone just changed night to day, literally.
It pretty clearly was not that kind of movie, like right away, but setting it up as a possible horror movie. And then even though you knew what it was for the most of the time, it still had me on the edge of the seat, isn't the right turn of phrase, but it had me open to the possibility that this movie could go somewhere still, especially like I said, where the little boy says the dog can talk. There were so many things in this movie where like, is this dog going to be like an alien? Is he going to like save people? Are they actually going to kill this dog? Like there were so many things in this movie where I think that weird out of theme opening made me open for the possibility of this going anywhere. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I think this is honestly where it lost me, is the music that kicked in right after that scene.
Yep.
I was like, oh, they hired like a random guy off the street to just try to write music for this. Like, this is not even written by a musician.
Okay, let's just take a step back and say, hey, this is obviously a B movie. Look at the
B is way too generous.
Well, you know what I'm saying. It's not a first rate production, and it's like you can see that. Like, this is like independent film where it's like, I appreciated it for what it was. It was giving people jobs. Somebody wrote this thing. He sold this thing. People made money. Like this movie obviously made a little bit of money, and that's kind of where I was appreciating. I was like, oh, anybody can write a movie. This is great. At the very beginning, it's like you're setting up the dumbest character, the dad who hates dogs. He's allergic. He's fucking hypoallergenic, and he's like
IBS.
Struggling in a hammock, And I was just like, are you kidding me? This is the movie? And I was like, all right, fine. I didn't hate the music just because I wasn't expecting freaking Hans Zimmer, you know?
I liked it. I think it also goes back to what I was just saying about the opening scene. None of the music in this had a theme. They hit so many genres. Like, I think the opening scene was some knockoff Huey Lewis music, and then they had like a less screamo Evanescence later on in the movie. Like,
I'm surprised the ska band didn't show up.
Oh.
Then we would have known it was a horror.
For Wesley.
There was lots of mouth harp, though. I was a big fan of all the mouth harp. Is there anything about this movie that like stood out to you as being either like exceptionally good or exceptionally bad?
Well, I want to go ahead and say the cover looks exceptionally good. It's well done. You have Frank taking up half of this cover, you know, and it's a big bone. The text is really good, Frank. There's paw prints all over it. You have the family members there. But I feel like the movie kind of falls short in that we don't meet Frank for the first 25, 30 minutes. Like, he should have been the inciting incident. And yet we don't see Frank for so much of it. And they should have made him the star.
Yeah. And the movie's like an hour and a half. So for a third of the movie, we don't meet Frank. And then the rest of it, we rarely see him and the effect that he's having on the family. And so that to me was really terrible, because why do we watch dog movies? Oh, yeah, because of the dog.
Yes.
Yeah, and you mentioned how we don't see the effect the dog has on the family, but we are told constantly the effect that the dog has on the family by the family. Like, we never see it, but then by the end, it's like, oh, Frank is so important to us. Like, he's helped us so much. And it's like, what?
I disagree.
He picked up a sponge.
They showed Frank being there when the mom wanted to talk to somebody like she used to talk to her grandpa, and they could just sit there and look at each other and just hear everything. She was like, thanks for being there for me, Frank.
That's one scene.
First off, that was her dad. God, Wesley.
That's what I said, didn't I?
You said her grandpa.
Oh,
it's
sorry.
Fine.
The kid's grandpa.
Hang on. Do you guys think Frank is her dad?
I thought that was a possibility.
Whoa.
That's why he's at the graveyard.
Oh my God.
I genuinely thought that was a possibility.
This movie just got good.
Oh, wow.
I need to ponder this, because this is a game changer idea.
Oh my God. You guys turn this into like a college class.
I'll add on to it. The very last scene of the movie, the little son goes back to the graveyard and looks at a headstone, making you think that maybe the dog has died. I think he went to his grandfather's headstone, and that's when Frank comes running out again.
Because the grandpa's name was Frank.
Yep.
Oh my God. You guys.
I like to think that Frank is still alive too. You know, this movie's from 2007, and hopefully this dog is still kicking around because he was so cute.
Well, okay. Here's something I saw in the credits. It took 4 dogs to play Frank.
Are you serious?
Frank had maybe 10 minutes of screen time in this movie. How did it take 4 dogs to do that?
Wait, so there was like one in the tail section, and then one in the body, and then one were the front legs, and then one was the head?
It was four dogs all playing one dog at once. Yeah.
Okay. My hypothesis for that, Ben, is that the director fell in love with the look of Frank, and then they just couldn't find an effective dog to hold his attention. I would say, like, get a good acting dog. You know, if you're making a dog movie, spend the money.
Right. There's no reason the dog has to be a Mastiff.
Yeah.
Nothing about the story said that the breed of dog mattered.
Well, kind of. It had to be some
intimidating.
sort of monster in the beginning, right? So.
Oh my God, how funny would this movie have been if it was a Chihuahua?
Right. It would have been way funnier if it were a Chihuahua.
Oh, it's like Monty Python and the Rabbit.
Yes.
Okay, well, for me, most of this movie just was garbage, but I think the one thing that I actually enjoyed was when the dad goes back to the city, and I still am like confused on why Frank didn't have his collar on or a leash or anything, and he was just hanging out, wandering around with him, and he sneaks him into the apartment. The one part that I actually found humorous was their landlady thinking that he's having sex, and she could hear everything, and she overreacts and puts like a noise warning thing everywhere. And I just thought it was so ludicrous to me that it was funny. I started laughing at how stupid it was.
That was the closest this movie comes to hijinks. And I did like that part of it because that actually did feel like a dog movie thing to have that in there. And it's not just one scene. Like there's multiple times where she just thinks he's having an affair.
Right.
When he's
he drives
away.
by and the dog's got like the scarf on his head.
And sunglasses.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right. It was the one part that I'm like, oh, this is silly. What is happening? Okay. Then there were so many things that I had problems with. The first one being, and this is like a huge one through all family movies, I guess, the hotness ratio between the dad and the mom. I just did not understand like what was happening there.
Yeah, and his personality sucked too.
Can I defend it? Because I think I have a defense of it. He is clearly a very successful man who's making money for the family and allows her to not work. She's sacrificing looks to be taken care of.
I guess so.
I'm just saying, something's got to give.
Maybe he was hot when they got married, Emily.
And then he lost all of his hair and became a germaphobe. And I don't know. I just thought just his general face and who he was not attractive.
I would definitely buy Matt's assumption that he used to be hot because this guy doesn't have much personality redeeming characteristics either. So I'm assuming that in his younger days when they first started dating, he was Uncle Rico, and Libby is just very impressed by how far he can throw a football.
Yeah. Or steak.
Or steak.
Something else that worked for me about this movie, and you guys will probably disagree with me, is I thought the teen romance actually worked. It didn't work in this movie because it didn't have anything to do with Frank, but I thought that story itself was a very nice young love story that I got behind. Like I was rooting for them to work out.
Yeah, I would say yes, I would agree with that. I think for me, there were lots of like little things that were really obnoxious and over the top that just made it seem so fabricated in the movie anyway. For example, the Heather bad girl character was so ridiculous, and there were so many circumstances like her taking a picture with her friend with C. Ann, which really should have been a better joke when the little boy Patrick is like reading Sean's name and he goes, C. Ann? That really should have been a joke. Like it should have been Patrick is making fun of him, not Anna, the older sister, saying he's just learning to read and he's fucking 8 or 9. Like whatever.
I totally agree, Ben. I thought that the romance it felt out of place, but it didn't feel like it was done poorly, except for this part.
Oh, hit us.
So I'm gonna walk y'all through a little bit here. So close your eyes. Let's take a trip down this path real quick.
As none of us close our eyes.
Sean and Anna are walking on the railroad tracks, carrying duffel bags, apparently going for a picnic. And Sean turns to Anna and goes, "You want to go on an adventure?" And then he says, "I'm going to show you something you can't do in this city." And then they're apparently in swimsuits. Where did they change? They were in the middle of a field. Why do they have swimsuits? And he brings her up to a ledge where apparently they're going to jump into the water. Stepping back, Anna quickly goes, "No way. That looks huge." No one would say that looks huge. Everyone would say that's too high, not huge. He grabs her and says, "We're going to be friends for life." And then they take the plunge.
And then the plunge is only, it looks like 15 feet.
No, I don't think you get it. It was a metaphor for sex.
Oh.
Okay, wait. I feel like I'm missing something completely because I do not remember this scene at all.
You don't remember the cliff jumping?
Nope, I do not.
Oh. Was that because you were watching it at 2 times the speed at that point?
I was.
Because I know I watched this movie, I think how the director intended it to be watched, which is hungover on New Year's Day on an iPad laying in my bed at 1.25 speed with the sound off by a second.
Yeah.
I probably would have liked it more if the sound had synced up. But, you know, what do you do when you can't actually find this movie anywhere? You watch it for free.
I guarantee if we went wandering around in Atlanta, Walmart, we would find this movie at the bottom of a $5 bin.
$5? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very generous then. I think I watched it as it was intended as well, while doing chores to make your wife happy.
I'm the only one who did it right. I relaxed on my couch, watched it at 1x speed on a big TV.
While taking vigorous notes.
I mean, that's how, doesn't everybody do that when they watch every movie?
Well, you liked this movie, Wesley. What's something else you liked about it?
It's already been hinted at, and I think that I'm going to get some strong opposition here, but the physical acting.
Oh.
Mostly of Uncle Rico. And Matt, you had already talked about it, the fighting against the hammock scene. Hilarious. I thought that was very funny. Just his facial reactions, like his boss calls him on the phone and he's like, hello, who's this? It's like, it's your boss. And he's like, oh, hi, Dan. Dumbass. And then he's trying. Anyway, that hammock scene was really funny. And I can tell from your reactions that you disagree.
No,
I didn't mind it. I actually enjoyed that.
Also, his boss was on the phone. They're having a conversation on the phone, intercut between his boss at work being like, hey, you left without telling me you left, while fucking tossing a baseball in the air.
That was going to be my next point, was him tossing that baseball up and down was my absolute favorite thing, because he does it a couple times when they're on the phone in the beginning, and then the next time we see the boss is towards the end of the movie, and he's walking down the stairs and throwing a baseball literally 3 inches up in the air, and then before the ball can even come down, like throwing his hand up to catch the ball. So he like throws the ball, but like the ball catches his hand more than anything. Oh, what a choice. And then I just absolutely loved that they made his whole character was someone who only speaks in baseball metaphors.
Yes.
If we were doing a regular Twits episode, that was absolutely going to be one that I was going to throw in the ring. Like, come up with a character who speaks in a hyper specific archetype of like puns.
And the baseball thing is because they are trying to make a dog food commercial that's going to air during the World Series.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Not a great time to probably run a dog food commercial. Like, why wouldn't you choose like the Westminster Dog Show?
Oh, that's too much.
You would think there would be prime viewing time for dog food commercials other than the World Series.
Also, then why? That's a great point. And why did a French owner of the company think that the World Series is better than the Westminster Dog Show?
That's why it's Dog Chow.
I know. Okay, yes,
thank you. French? He's Italian.
Oh, is he?
He's Italian. He's
yeah,
gotta be Italian.
That's what I said. I said Italian.
Okay.
Oh, that makes one of my points less funny. I thought he was French in the moment, but I as soon as the main boss started talking, and I was like, oh, he's got an accent. Why is he French for this baseball focused company? And then I was like, oh my God, that's why it's called Puppy Chow, which from the beginning I thought was a very good name, actually.
Doggy Chow.
Doggy Chow.
I hated it until I just now put together that he was Italian.
That's
now
why
I like
Frank liked the bread?
That's why I thought Frank liked French bread. It makes more sense if he's French.
In the movie, the kids accidentally let Frank eat 11 loaves of French bread.
18.
And no, the kids didn't let him. Frank pilfered them from the store, and the owner kept a tab and made them pay for it.
I got to add this because this is related to one of my worst lines of the movie. And it's that part where the owner is like, I'm going to give you a bill. And then it immediately cuts to the dad sitting at the table looking at the bill going, why is Frank spending so much money? Like, what?
Yeah.
Just the way that they tried to personify Frank as making like human decisions. Another one is the wife says to the dad, Frank understands me better than you do.
Oh,
it was like, what?
Take that. That's because it's her dad.
See?
Right.
It makes the movie so much better.
Yeah.
Oh my freaking God.
So we've kind of talked about the things that Wesley really liked about this movie. What are some things that didn't necessarily work for us?
I'll tell you right off the bat, when the mom started screaming at the kid to hurry up to open the gate to the cabin, I was like, he's an 8-year-old boy. Like, what? There were a lot of just decisions that in the scenes where you're just like, it seemed like you guys didn't have enough time and you're just ready to move on.
I want to piggyback on that for the same but like opposite reason. Maybe not opposite, but just the time elapsing in this movie made zero sense. So like you're saying, where it doesn't give the 8-year-old any time to open the gate, they also do things in a split second. One of the first ones that really bugged me is the husband is on the phone saying, don't worry, I'll be there tomorrow. because I have to get on the ferry and I'll be there tomorrow. Like, he really emphasized it on the phone, and then cutscene, he's there. So I didn't understand the point of that. But then towards the end, it got even worse. Like, the whole back and forth to the big city thing, I have no idea how long that takes. But then after the dad gets back from the big city and is kind of in love with Frank now, he is at the grocery store with Sean, and there's now a picture of Frank, and Sean's like, oh, he's a hometown hero now. And then right after that, the dad calls the wife, and she's like, he gets back to the house, and the wife comes running out and says, the kids have read the article like 3 or 4 times already. And the dad's response was, yeah, I can't believe they printed it so fast. So seemingly in the time it took him to get from the grocery store back to the house, the dad has written a story, submitted it, it's been published, it's been printed, and the kids have read it multiple times.
No, because the clipping is hanging in the grocery store on the wall.
Right.
When did he write that?
That's the envelope he put in that mailbox when Frank jumped into the truck. So in the time he was in the big city with Frank,
okay,
they ran the article but that whole thing, the fact that he's a writer and
did not matter at all.
No. And then he wrote a book about Frank, and the book's like a good seller, and it's supposedly about the events of this movie, only nothing happens in this fucking movie. So what's the book about?
It's about his dog understanding his wife better than him.
Yeah.
They put in a Chekhov's gun in the beginning, so they had to pay it off with him being a writer and writing this book. Because in the very beginning, his boss gets mad at him, and the dad quotes by saying, how am I supposed to come up with something homespun and heartfelt in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, there it is.
All right. Well, I mean, I had a lot of problems with this movie in general, and the music sucked. They couldn't pick any sort of cohesive anything. It was just jumping around different genres. The shots themselves, the cinematography was terrible. They would just have long, lingering shots over nothing and showing passage of time through like cars moving. That is just so typical of any movie that is really lazy. But the thing that I think hurt me deep down inside the most was Frank saved the day by being able to bark chow. And so that was like the whole saving grace of the dad's big commercial for the World Series. And it didn't even sound like chow to me at all. Like even a little bit, if it kind of sounded like it, maybe I could let it slide. But what the actual fuck was that? Took me right out of it.
Maybe it was in Italian.
Wesley, of the 4 of us, I'm the one that speaks Italian better than you all. I lived there for 4 months.
Maybe it was a different dialect of Italian.
Matt, anything that didn't work for you?
I mean, the opening scene, I would have taken it from the start of the credits. As Emily mentioned earlier, I didn't have a problem with the cinematography. I thought it was shot fairly straightforward and boring, which I kind of want for a dog film. But you did mention lingering on scenes. I would blame the editor over using all the shit they had shot and not making a cohesive story. Also, maybe supers would have been nice, big city, 2007, or 3 days later, or like, I don't fucking know, because it did
that
get
actually
confusing.
may have helped.
Right. I mean, like, it's like a corny movie. Let's just go for it. Go all the way.
Right. They needed to embrace it more.
They did have one super at the end.
Yeah, the 4 months later.
4 months later.
Yeah, so if they just did that for every time they fucking tried to make 2 days pass when they're just in a car, and maybe that would have helped. Just a little weird and a little wonky, but overall, I love dogs. I love little cute dogs, so movie kind of works for me. Surprisingly.
Did anyone for even 1 second think that after that 4 months later jump that Frank was dead?
Yeah, I definitely thought he was dead.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Not honestly and truly.
I didn't think there was any way that the movie was going to end like that.
But after it started off with that haunted stuff, you never know. And
that is the bit of cinematography I kind of like, when they gave the dog like predator vision just without the filter.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Dog cam. It's just grayed out a little bit.
Did this movie remind you all of any movies you've seen before?
Inception.
Inception.
I don't know. I think it has that classic summer camp family trope type vibe, maybe like a family vacation, except for where the dad, I don't know. Not really, I guess, now that I'm saying it, but like they focus too much on his career and all these other things when it's like they could have focused on their relationships and the dog and how they changed. So, but it does have that vibe of like, hey, we're going here and then here's this magical place and then we come back and we've learned something, you know?
Sure.
No, they decide to stay.
Yeah, you go somewhere and you're like, oh, wow, my old life sucks. So Sweet Home Alabama.
That's your pick?
Yeah. It comes from the big city and now we're living in small town, slower life, better life.
Yeah, good pull. Good pull.
I think very good.
No, I've never seen a movie like this. I also don't watch dog movies and family. That's not true. I watch tons of family type movies. I just watch most of them animated. I don't watch real person movies very often unless it's for the podcast. But I will say just generally that it did not remind me of any animated movie I've ever seen since I've seen so many of them.
This one reminded me of Beethoven, like I said earlier. Like, this is basically the plot of Beethoven exactly. Like, the dog shows up, the kids beg to keep it, and then the dad, who doesn't like dogs, reluctantly lets him keep it. And then the dog saves the day at the end in whatever way Frank saved the day in this one.
Yeah.
I think Emily made a good point, though, because I do think the big picture is definitely Beethoven, but this movie just goes 1,000 different directions that I couldn't put my finger on one specific movie, which is why I said Inception. Or better yet, Tenet.
But having said that, in our critique of it, I kind of feel like this might be my best attempt at writing and shooting a movie. Because I know there's a million things that could go wrong and like 1,000 different directions my brain would go. So like, it's really hard to be critical of a movie where you're like, oh, that's a problem, that's a problem, that's a problem, that's a problem. So like, I was looking for more positives in the film as I was watching it.
Okay, just because you said that, Matt, just know that if you decided to put a movie together, it would not be as bad as this ever.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe.
Because number one, you know all the problems with it, and so you'd be able to edit it and like communicate better of what you wanted. Also, you have 3 friends right here that'd be willing to help you edit your movie and figure out a good cohesive story.
Well,
so
I appreciate that.
I just want to watch the world burn, so no, I would not help.
No, we're not letting a script like this one get past us, Matt. I'll tell you that right now.
Could we fix it by adding in supers, saying 2 days later?
I guess that leads us to the next question. Is this the worst movie we've watched for the podcast?
No.
Ooh.
I still hate Heartbreak Kid more. I think this movie, you're right, Matt. It's kind of that B movie, not actually like B movie, but you know, it's a subpar straight to VHS kind of movie in my mind, where you throw it on for your kids and it's nice little happy family, and then move on. You never have to watch it again. Versus Heartbreak Kid scarred me.
Yes.
And hurt me deeply because of the choices that they made for humor's sake. Versus this, it's still like happy-go-lucky. It has interesting elements to it. There are a few things that you can laugh dumbly at as an adult and go, ha, that's really fucking stupid. So
yeah,
I say no, it's not the worst movie we've done.
Yeah, Emily, you're spot on with that, because Heartbreak Kid goes into the negative where they're trying to be humorous and you're like, fuck you for even trying to make that joke, versus this movie, which is like, you have the dog, you have like a wonderful family, you could throw it on in the background, and the hijinks, I feel like, are fun.
No hijinks.
All the jokes land in this movie.
It was a hijink. Single hijink.
I mean, with such a high success rate of jokes to laugh, for me, this movie was way better than Dewey Cox.
Oh, no. Oh, poor Matt. Put your finger away.
I will agree that it is not a better movie, but just in my viewing experience, this movie was way better than Dewey Cox.
Oh, my God.
See, I can't imagine having a worse viewing experience than this one. Just us watching that Daily Motion video where the sound slowly drifts away and people are talking and they were the ones that talked 2 seconds ago. And I basically had to watch it, not watching it, just listening like it was an audio book because it was just too hard to follow. But this one, I mean, it's inoffensive, whereas Heartbreak Kid is aggressively bad. That one is just like in your face. I'm a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. Are we only saying that Heartbreak Kid and Dewey Cox are worse than this?
No, none of us are saying that. I feel like you're trying to do what the Senate's trying to do with our stimulus. You're like trying to give aid to like Israel or something, and we're like, no, we just want checks. Like, stop lumping in Dewey Cox. Like, what are you doing?
That is exactly what's happening right now.
So we didn't really talk about the dog or the 4 dogs. And yes, it was a cute dog, but there were some really adorable moments of just the squishy face that I loved, especially when the dad was sneaking him into the apartment and the landlord lady's standing there and she's looking at his mismatched shoes and his face, the dog is smushing into the dad and he's trying to get past. And that was such a real dog moment for me because like I've had my dogs do that where they're trying to get by and their faces are all squished up and it's so cute. And so I will say there was a tiny bit of reality when it came to the dog in this.
Mm-hmm. I think the lasting image I'll have of this movie is the dog in the boat with the little boy as he plays pirates and the dog has like the paper hat on.
Yeah, that was pretty cute.
That's how I will remember this movie, just for that good. Single shot.
Very cute.
At least there was no freeze frame at the end.
That's true.
Yeah, take that, American Gangster.
Could have used it.
So what was your favorite scene, line, moment of this movie?
My favorite part of this movie, it's a couple lines and one character, which I'm glad we haven't talked about yet. And that is Mr. Billy Hamilton. Now, he is the animal control guy.
The black guy.
Who's Billy Is Billy Hamilton the character's name?
Yeah.
He had a name?
He came in and introduced. He was like, hey, it's me. Took off my
Billy
scary
Hamilton.
Looking mask.
And they're like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm just doing my rounds because I'm Sheriff Billy Hamilton or something like that.
He's animal control. Oh my God.
Immediately, my first thought after hearing his name was Billy Hamilton was this could be the new Hollywood striking while the Hamilton fire is hot and doing a remake of Billy Madison. And that was just a funny thought that I had. But then Billy continued to have some of the...
Nice. Got his ass.
The absolute best quotes in this movie. He, after the failed attempt at building a cage to catch the bear or the raccoon, whatever they thought that the monster was, Billy comes back to the house and he has a line that's, I just had a couple of footlongs on the way here. And then he like does like the clearing his teeth thing and it says, still tastes good.
And he's like licking his beard to get the mustard off. Oh my God.
And then after they do try to turn Frank in, he basically blackmails the dad and says, well, you're the reason it's injured because you built that cage. So you either have to pay $1,000 or whatever. But then he says, yeah, he's good. No bubonic plague or any other diseases. And then
Wesley, you just need to deliver any jokes you find funny to me and then I'll laugh.
So then after he basically starts to blackmail the guy, I don't even remember what this was in reference to, but word for word, he said the sentence, let's not mine worms. And I'm pretty sure he meant to say, let's not mince words, but he said, let's not mine worms. And then very quickly after he said, give him some LTC instead of TLC, which just drove me crazy, which made me think this was a Canadian movie, but I'm pretty sure it was not.
And he was the only black character, correct?
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like, I want to know what the actor actually talks like, because I felt like this is a weird choice for the director to make.
That's Garrett Morris. He was on the very first season of SNL.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, he's a well-known comedian. So that's probably why you found him funny, is because he's a funny guy.
It was very funny.
Interesting.
But then at the end, real plot twist with Billy. The whole time, the family has been looking for somebody to adopt Frank. And as soon as they're finally like, all right, Billy, you have to take him. He replies, well, if it'll make you feel any better, I've got a very nice family ready to take him. It's like, what the fuck, Billy? That's what we were looking for this entire time. So I feel like Billy was the archangel that was trying to reunite Frank with his daughter.
Oh,
such a deep meaning. Can I ask you guys a question? Do you think you could foster a dog? I have talked to Shelby about it. I don't think I could because I would be too attached to a dog to be able to ever give it away.
You'd be a foster fail.
I have a story about that because I am a foster fail with Dozer. My sister fostered a couple dogs before she got her dog, and now she has 2, not because of foster fails. And so I went through the same organization to foster a dog for the summer that we were still living in this house that had a fenced-in backyard before we moved into an apartment. And this is right after my sister moved out and the 2 dogs had left me, and I just graduated college and couldn't get a job. So I'm like, what else should I do? I should foster a dog. It'll make me feel better. And so I got Dozer, and Corbin knew within a day of getting him that I was going to adopt him. And I tried to pawn him off onto my parents and to a ton of my friends, anyone, because I'm like, this dog needs to stay in my life. He's wonderful. A month later, my dad's like, here's $300 for the adoption fee. Get the damn dog. Like,
yeah,
you need to keep him.
Yes. Well,
so yes, failure over here.
Yeah, it seems like it takes a special kind of love to do that, you know? So I don't know. I felt like that was an interesting question that the movie kind of posed. Maybe not directly, but it's something I know I'm not really capable of because I immediately make an attachment to a dog, you know?
I don't think I could do it just because my daughter would get attached and I couldn't tell her that, no, the dog's got to go away now. So
that's so sad.
Yeah.
I think I could do it now that I have a dog. You know, I've watched a lot of my friends' dogs, and I have grown harsher in my old age. So I think I could probably do it now that I have a dog. But before it was I'm lonely and sad, and my sister took the 2 dogs away from me when I was living with her when she moved out. So now I think I'm in a much better place where I could foster.
I have a favorite line that we didn't get to.
Oh.
It is the little brother sitting at the table, and he looks directly at his sister and says, I wish you would die. And that line from that little boy made me laugh so hard. You said that little boy was one of your favorite parts of this movie in a text chain.
Oh, for sure. I think right off the bat, okay, so like none of the characters felt real, right? Except for somebody who's so young, like they're playing a version of themselves, you know? So like when he opens the gate and then he runs in front of the car, like freaking Forrest Gump, I was just like, that kid is a real kid, like versus the mom who's like, I was a girl once, and then the other girl making a weird face, liking a boy, and then the dad being a fucking weirdo. Like none of these characters felt real to me except for Frank and the little kid. And boy, I would have loved to see like a movie focusing on those 2 a lot more. However, that would have been way harder to shoot, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the little boy, who has a worse cry face, him or Tobey Maguire?
I mean, they're both really bad.
It was pretty brutal when Frank was getting taken away.
They really hung on him a long time with that camera, too. Like, they really wanted us to study the folds in his face. Because he had kind of like the moon face look that Dwight does. So it was like, oh, there's lots of things going on with your face right now.
And then they cut over to the sister who's also trying to cry, but like she has to squeeze her face so hard to make one tear come out of her eye. I thought that was really funny as well.
It was 2.
I only saw 1.
Well, you weren't looking hard enough, Wesley.
That's fair. So I'm glad we all like this movie.
Get the fuck out of here. Well, thanks again to Shocked and Applaud for giving us to this. Let's I ask Shocked and Applaud, please, in the future, just don't give us recommendations. No, we love you. We love you 3, and thank you for giving this idea to us. We do appreciate it. So this has been Frank. We're going to sign off. I said this has been.
I know. I'm sorry.
We are Frank, the podcast.
Today we are watching Frank. No, thank you for listening. Please subscribe, rate, share us with a friend or 2. Hit us up on social media, IDYP_podcast on Twitter. We're also on Instagram, Facebook. idrinkyourpodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us directly. But thank you for listening. We do appreciate it. We look forward to another year of 2007 movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go walk my dog, Frank.
Oh, yeah.
Have fun walking, Frank.
Bye.
We will see you. Bye.